Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Opinionated Geek podcast. This is episode 19 now. Yeah, so one more until 20. I guess we'll start off with games I've been playing. I officially finished Far Cry 5. It took me a lot longer than what I expected, but then again, I've never beaten a Far Cry 5 game because I thought the only one I really actually attempted to play was 3, and it got a little repetitive. Due to the fact that I was actually streaming Far Cry 5, I actually was able to beat it. So once again, I feel like streaming, if you have problems beating games, streaming is probably going to be your best friend because it sets you up with a schedule, and if you are serious about the streaming thing, you'll stay consistent with that schedule, allowing you to get further along than what you would normally would. So now we are streaming Divinity Original Sin 2 whenever I do normal gaming streams. If you don't know what that is a asymmetrical type old school RPG that is more in depth with story, besides like frickin' Far Cry 5, where it's basically a bunch of rinse and repeat type quests and shooting. But there's a couple cool things in Far Cry 5 that I did like. Now, what I actually was surprised with is a lot of people didn't like the ending of Far Cry 5. And I'm not going to really spoil it for anybody that didn't play it and is kind of hoping to play it, but I actually kind of like where they went with it. I will also say that if you've ever seen Kevin Smith's Red State, they did the opposite of that film. So take with that as what you will. Divinity Original Sin 2 is really cool because there's so many different options to finish quests or deal with situations that you really come up with some cool stuff. One of the things I've already noticed with my playthrough this time is I'm doing everything way better. So the first time I played through, and when I say playthrough, I didn't actually beat it. That's why again I'm streaming it, because I want to actually beat it. So I went through and did about 18 hours. I got out of Fort Joy and basically got on the actual kind of like main island that your Fort Joy is on. And basically that was kind of like the end of the situation that I played. I did a little, for the most part, I feel like I almost got off the island of Fort Joy, but I didn't quite get there and I just stopped playing. But every single time there was a quest, I was killing everything. So I was doing basically probably what I typically would not normally do. I don't normally like to do the whole let's kill everything. I would like to do stuff a little bit more strategic and a little bit more better. This time around, and again, I was expecting to go into it where I was like, I'm going to basically play the same type of game. And I don't know how or why, but overall, my quests have been finished with basically, for the most part, avoiding most fights. So that has been pretty amazing. Now, I did play a little bit of different characters. Like there's a guy named I think his name is Griff, who's the main cook at Fort Joy. He was dealing with some drugs, and due to the type of scenario that I was dealing with, I actually didn't get to talk to the one character. So in theory, in this game, I didn't know he was doing drugs. So I basically just got him his oranges and gave it to him. Which the other playthrough, I found out he was doing drugs, and I'm like, screw you, you're not taking these. And I know what they are, and it basically started a war. And what ticked me off was there was a girl, for whatever reason, that liked me, and her name was Butter in the game. And essentially, she died in that process, my first playthrough. Now, because I didn't get into a fight, she's alive, and I'm assuming that in the future I will be able to talk to her and, go on some quest, I'm sure, for her. But it's pretty amazing how drastically different it is. Uh, One of the characters is named Fane. I completely forgot where to find him. I found him in my first playthrough, but I did not find him in my second playthrough. Uh, and he's an undead person. And I actually I liked him as a character, but I don't like him as an undead character. Because basically, then you're getting into situations where you have to deal with stuff differently. So in Divinity Original Sin 2, you actually have to, in order to heal an undead person, you have to poison them. So for the living people, you drink a healing potion. For the undead, you do a poison potion, essentially. So what's kind of cool is there is a lot of poison in the world. So essentially, all he has to do is walk through the stuff, and he's healed. But also the other problem is if you accidentally heal him with a heal spell or do something like that, it basically will kill him. So it's a cool mechanic, but it's very difficult to deal with also at the same time, because now you got to make sure you have more than one thing, so make sure you don't heal him. And I'm not sure if there's a mass healing spell. I imagine there is, which again could kill the guy. So on top of being able to rescue Butter, I was also able to. There's a cat that follows you around once you get on the island of Fort Joy. I noticed it in the first playthrough, but I don't know what happened to the cat, because nothing ever came about it. This time I was able to get the cat out of Fort Joy, and the cat will start talking to you. Granted, I was able to understand the cat just because I forget what they call it, but basically it allows you to talk to animals. So again, that's another level of the game that you can actually take part in. So if there's dogs running around, they can actually give you quests, or they can just talk to you. You can talk to crabs. I've talked to a crab before. You can talk to rats. So it's a really, really unique game. And again, I think they're able to do that because it's an asymmetrical game. They're not spending hours and hours and hours and months and months and months and years and years and years making this super detailed world out of 3D graphics. Granted, the world is detailed, but it's only at a 2D type of realm, even though it is still technically 3D, but it's a lot less. I don't know. You can basically tell the differences. Like, this isn't, Far Cry 5, for example. We'll just say that because that's still on the top of my head right now. Graphics compared to, this is like a Diablo style type graphics. So it's not compared to modern AAA games, it's not the necessarily prettiest to look at, but what they lack in, the really super advanced graphics, they make up for in the details of making the world come alive, which is what I feel like The Witcher did better than all these other AAA games. The Witcher just made the world come alive, and this is what Divinity Original Sin does too. So I highly recommend the game so far. I've just got off the island and got into a safety town, and we're going to continue to stream again, probably, maybe tonight, but I'm not sure. I'm not probably not feeling like I'm going to stream the game tonight. We'll play definitely tomorrow. And I'm going to have to redo my schedule again because I am so excited that I'm doing this again. But I am definitely getting back into Magic the Gathering. And it's something I didn't think I would actually be this excited for. But mainly, I wanted to do the Friday Night Magic just due to the fact that it's a game that I used to play many, many years ago. Hello! And I did when I actually originally started playing Magic the Gathering, like almost 21 years ago. No, actually, no, that's when I stopped playing. I started around 23 years ago, but I didn't. I didn't know what the heck I was really doing, and I'm still now relearning stuff. But when it came to Magic the Gathering, I actually was when I was building decks. No, I have not. Uh, I basically was doing it for like basically I didn't have any plans. I just like got the cards and saw a whole bunch of cards that I liked. I basically kept two colors, and I didn't bother uh, messing with the. Well, what was I going to say? Basically, I got two colors, and I just saw cards that I liked, and I just picked the ones that I wanted to do. And I didn't say, well, this card will work with this card, card will work with that card. It was just basically, I like this card, and I'm going to put it in my deck. Essentially, constantly uh, losing at Magic. So, in the end, I eventually got angry of constantly losing and just ended up quitting after a couple years. But now I'm trying to get back into it, mainly so I can actually get out of the house more. Because for the most part, I just go to work and come home. So now I'm going to the Friday Night Magic at my local comic book shop, and it's been. I've only went there once, but it's basically a fun experience for me. Basically, because I'm learning the game all from the get go again, and there's also a whole bunch of new mechanics. In fact, let me bring up my one friend's email that I sent him because I went over a whole bunch of stuff that I noticed with the game, and that was kind of completely new. Do 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 do. Uh, yeah, there's the Planeswalker thing. So that's been around for a couple years. I do know that. Uh, but a Planeswalker is kind of like a side thing. You can still attack it like an actual regular creature, but it's a thing that you can kind of do once you have him casted out. You can kind of do something every turn as a kind of like a bonus thing. And if you do the first one, it gives you a plus for every time you do it. And then basically you got two other things that usually do a negative. And basically, you don't want him to get down to zero. Once he gets down to zero, he's basically discarded and put in the graveyard. But they're really powerful, and it really adds another element to the game. My Planeswalker, for its big thing, it can actually take control of the opponent, all the opponent's artifacts and creatures in play. So that's how powerful they are. Essentially, they could basically make the other person useless. They also have a new mechanic. Granted, when I say new, it's new for me. Again, haven't played in 21 years. They got Improvise, which basically allows you to use artifacts as mana. They got Kicker, which basically allows you to cast something, and it allows you, if you choose, to pay a little bit extra mana to do something special. Though I did see a card recently where it said, if you don't kick it, it basically gets put in the graveyard right after the after your turn's done. So you kind of want it's almost mandatory that you kick that one. It's got a new mechanic called Vigilance. It's not really new, but they have actually named it. Back in the day, Sarah Angel, for example, had Vigilance, but it didn't. It wasn't called Vigilance. It was basically just said this creature does not tap when you attack. So they have named it and they call it Vigilance now. They have equipment, so you can actually add swords. Mainly, I say swords because I haven't came across any armor in my personal card collection so far, but I definitely have come across swords, so you can do use swords. They got a mechanic called Death Touch, which basically sounds exactly what it means. You can have a little 1/1 creature, and he can go up against a 7/7 creature, and it would still kill the 7/7 creature because it has Death Touch. So basically what you want to do is get rid of that creature, because no matter what, even if he dies, he's taking people out with him. They got hexproof for characters or creatures, so basically you can't cast any spells, essentially, against the creature. They got sagas. Sagas are really, really, really cool. In fact, it won me my one game at Magic Monday. And what sagas do is they do 3 things in 3 turns. And it depends on what card you use. Basically, mine allowed me to choose up to, I think, 5 cards in my deck and pull out a artifact, and then put the other cards back randomly on the bottom of your deck. And then, of course, depending on what type of card you have, the second turn could be different or it could be the same. Mine was the same, so basically I did it again. On the third turn, all of my artifacts on the third turn all turn into 5/5 creatures until the end of that turn. So essentially, I had like 6 5/5 creatures out on my on the board. So essentially, I was basically had a lot of damage to deal, and basically that's what helped me win my game. So it's just a really cool mechanic that spans out over 3 turns, and it can really, in my case, really turn the tides on a victory, because my deck's still fairly brand new. It's also very pre-made. I only recently stuck a couple ones. That Saga card was definitely one of the ones that I put in. And what can I say? It's definitely a really nifty new mechanic, and that is actually brand spanking new from the Dominaria expansion that they just brought out. They got Legendary Creature. I don't think Legendary Creature is a new thing. I want to say they might have introduced Legendary Creatures back in Legends, but I could be confusing it with the actual Legends, just the title of Legends expansion. But if not, it is a new thing for me. But what I didn't know is, which I'm glad they told me, but you're only allowed to have 1 legendary creature out at a time. You can have as many legendary creatures as you want in the deck, but you can only have 1 out. So, I guess it's one of the things where be sparing, I guess, with your deck, with how much you put in there, because it could end up being too much. And that is all like the kind of the cool things. Now I kind of want to get into Friday Night Magic. I was actually really surprised at the turnout because I've never been to one, but we had quite a bit of people. It was around, I think, 28, and this is what they showed on the picture on Facebook of, and I circled myself. You can't see me, but I circled kind of where I was. There was another guy in front of me, but I was actually pretty impressed. It was I also wasn't expecting to stay that long. We did 5 games, and it was basically kind of like the best of 3, but most people it's like the best of 2, because usually if you win one, you win the other one. From my experience so far, I did win the last one, and I, I I was pretty impressed, and I'm kind of curious if the girl was just being nice or she was actually being honest with what she was drawing, because I lost the whole night except for this one girl at the end. But what I thought was cool was when you do Friday Night Magic, is it's a although a very relaxed, it's still considered a sanctioned tournament with Wizards of the Coast. So when you actually go to a Friday Night Magic, they'll ask for your, I think it's called like a CID number, and obviously I'm just like, well, I don't have one, and they're like, well, here we'll get you set up with one, and of course you have to go on the website and sign up for one. But once you sign up for one, then you're officially allowed to do pro tournaments and just the even the small town Friday Night Magics. And what's cool is you go onto the website then after you play, and you start getting, you'll actually have your all your stats and stuff. So you probably can't see it because it's a small picture, but this actually has is it right here? Yeah, this has like literally all my information. It tells you how many players were there. If I guess during certain times you can have a multiplier. So if you win one, it counts as, twice the amount, or whatever. It tells you where it was at. uh, tells you the date. Tells you who you were playing with, if you won or not. And they even got achievements, because that top one there. Beep, beep, beep. Where is it? Yep. There we go. Boy, that's difficult. Yeah, the top one above the actual statistics, that's basically an achievement. It says basically, you are a planeswalker. So it's basically like, hey, you just started out on your journey as a Magic the Gathering player. But I thought that was really, really cool and pretty awesome. Also, let's I forgot, they also make vehicles for Magic the Gathering as a special thing, and I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I was all excited because I actually pulled this guy. So it's you probably can't see on the camera, but it is a foil. So it's a foiled mythic rare, and granted, it doesn't cost much. If you want to buy it, it's only around $12. But I thought it was cool because it's my first foiled mythic rare that I pulled out of a booster pack, and I definitely have it also double sleeved, and we'll get to that in a second. But vehicles are, I'm trying to figure out how you actually use it to be worthwhile. But vehicles, okay, this one costs 4 mana, any color mana, for a 4/5 vehicle. If it was a 4 mana for a 4/5 creature, this would be an amazing card. But it's a vehicle, and how a vehicle works is you need crew members to run the vehicle. So what happens is it says down at the bottom of the card. I don't know if you can see. I don't know if you can see it, but it requires 3 crew, right there. And in order to get that 3 crew, you basically have to have a creature already out with a power of 3. So this is why I'm confused. Why is this card worth it? Because yes, it's a 4/5, but I need to find something with a 4 or a 3 power. So a character with a power of 3 and maybe a armor of 1 or 2. Basically, I need something that has a power of 3 that's very low mana, so I can basically just whip it out. Because otherwise, this isn't really doing me any good. And also, it's only since it requires a crew of 3, that means I need to make this only adds one more power to the deal. So yeah, that might kill something, or it might be giving me that one more point. But instead of just using this card, because I can't just use this card, I then have to use a different creature. So then I'm using two things to only do a 4/5 creature. And sure, its ability is flying, which is good. Flying usually means a lot of the times people can't block you, because unless they got like an angel deck or whatever. But it says whenever Weatherlight deals combat damage to a player, so basically, and that's I guess the benefit, because it's flying, I'm able to actually hit the player instead of an actual creature, most likely, but not guaranteed. If I'm able to do damage to a player, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a historic card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest of the bottom in your library in a random order. And of course, artifacts, legendaries, and sagas are considered historic. So that's a cool thing, and it's a really awesome ability, but the fact that you have to basically use this card and another character, or I'm even probably thinking you can use like 3/1/1 characters, or maybe even, no, there can't be 3/1/0 because you need armor. Otherwise, you're dead, I think, how that works. I could be wrong, but either way, you need 3 power to use the card. So whether you're doing 2 or 3 characters or 1 character, to me, it just, I don't know. I need to look into it more, whether there's strategy or not. Apparently, you can use 1 Planeswalker character that's in the new set with this. And that would be actually kind of cool, because Planeswalkers can't attack, but they can use their special abilities, so it's kind of cool you can actually use the Planeswalker in this, if that's how it works, but I don't know. So, either way, it's cool. It's my first Mythic Rare, and it's a vehicle, so it's another new feature that I'm not used to. But getting to that, we have the double sleeve thing. When I first started, I don't even think there was card sleeves available. There was like the actual like baseball card things that basically were solid plastic, or the ones that are kind of like really thick but still bendable. You could use those. You could use those to protect your more expensive cards, but there wasn't actually like this type of thing where you got the blue background, and it's flexible and stuff like that, and very thin, but it still protects your cards. There was nothing like that until Ultra Pro came out with a thing. I believe they were called deck protectors, and you got like 60 of them or something like that, and it came out as a little box, so you can actually use the box as a thing to put your cards in. And that was the first versions of it. In fact, they even had I think they stopped doing this now because it was annoying, but in the corner they had like a little holographic sticker. It's like, it's official Ultra Pro. Nobody cares if it's official Ultra Pro. We just want to protect our cards, and basically keep that stuff out of the way, because there's information on the cards that it could be blocking. But anyway, they kind of just started with the card sleeves. And when I started to decide I'm going to get back into it, I started looking into stuff, and I realized that now, not only do they have deck sleeves, but they got inner sleeves. So my main deck, as well as this card's not in my main deck because I don't know how to freaking use this card, that it would make it valuable, but I've actually double sleeved them, as it's called. So, if you go on YouTube, Dragon Shield, the brand that I use, they have a video, but to me it seems more too gimmicky with its commercial, like as seen on TV vibe to it. So, and there's too many cuts to the video, so I couldn't really trust it. But they did something ridiculous, like they had it where you put chips all over the cards, and then you spill a drink, and then somebody had it in a sandwich, and somebody like put dip on it, and Just stupid stuff that would never happen except for maybe chips and maybe spilling the drink. But obviously, you don't even want to do any of that. But apparently, it didn't damage the cards at all. And I was like, well, that's great and all, but to me, it felt marketing, like a marketing gimmick. Like if you spill a drink, there's going to be a very high chance that it actually will get the card wet. But lo and behold, I did watch a video of some guy who had a video where he actually took some land, double sleeved them in KMS sleeves, double sleeved them, and then of course the Dragon Shield. Dragon Shields have a problem with them. They're so tight that even with KMS, which KMS is known for, it's easier to slide the inner sleeves in because they're a tiny bit thicker than the Dragon Shields, the inner sleeves. But if you use Dragon Shield sleeves, the outer sleeves, even the KMS inner sleeves will start to creep up. So basically what you have to kind of do with Dragon Shield sleeves is you literally need to put them in so far, and then you need to take your finger inside the sleeve and start to guide it down, because otherwise what will happen is a little bit of that inner sleeve will come up a little bit. So therefore, it's not entirely on properly. So that's what happened with his Dragon Shield sleeve demo, and he actually references it. It was up a little bit. If it wasn't up, he said it most likely would have been fine. But he did KMS and Dragon Shields, dunked them in water for 10 seconds. So essentially, if you spilled a drink on your cards, there's no way it would be wet for like 10 seconds. It also wouldn't be completely submerged in the actual soda or juice or whatever you have it, or beer if you're drinking beer with playing Magic. So you basically like, oh shit, grab paper towels real quick, and it wouldn't be submerged like that for 10 seconds. What blew my mind was the KMS, which actually was on there properly, unlike the Dragon Shield. It actually did protect the card. Now the inner and outer sleeve area did get wet, but it didn't actually get underneath where the card actually was. So for the most part, it was completely dry. In fact, the only reason he actually got a little bit of water on the KMS version was because he didn't dry his hands when he actually was messing with the cards and got a little bit wet on it. So that blew my mind. So I'm like, if I can, I would double sleeve every single one of my cards if I had the money to do so. But the problem is, when you're buying these, which are the actual outer sleeves, and they got a whole bunch of different colors, which is I'm happy that they made it matte, but the matte color, the only thing I wish it was when I actually saw the matte thing, what I thought they meant was they had a matte front, so basically there would be no glare on the front of the card when you're like reading it and stuff, because obviously these cards with the plastic, it's going to be shining. But sadly, Dragon Shields, what they meant was matte. They meant the back of the card, so the back isn't shiny, it's got a nice flat color. It would be nice if they would actually do a matte version with like a kind of a light frosted look to it, so that way it wouldn't actually make the colors glare. Now, obviously, the big complaint then would be, well, my foil doesn't actually shine through as well. And I'm just like, who cares? As long as you know it's foil, it's all that matters. And then, of course, then you need to buy the Dragon Shield's Perfect Fits, which are the inner sleeves. You get 100 in both the outer and inner Perfect Fit things, but due to What was I going to say? Due to. But yeah, anyway, it comes with 100. So essentially, if you get 2 packs of each, that can take care of 3 decks, as long as you don't mind the mixing of the colors, or if you stay with one color. Also, Dragon Shield has smoke for the backs of the inner sleeves. So what that helps do is with, I guess it's a main problem with Dragon Shields, but some of the lighter colored Dragon Shield backs, you can kind of see through them. Like a pink, you'll be able to see through. So what they did was they made smoke inner ones, so that way for tournament reasons, you won't get disqualified. Because if the referees or judges or whatever you want to call them, if they see the backs and you can see the backs, then you could possibly mark the backs and kind of cheat. I don't know how you would do that, but either way, it's an instant disqualification if they find out. So they made the smoke backs for the inner sleeves for that purpose. But again, highly recommend the inner shields, or the inner sleeves if you're going to play, especially if you're going to go to a Magic the Gathering tournament thing. You don't know what these people are doing, how klutzy they are. I was kind of curious though, because basically how you put the inner sleeve on is you turn your card upside down and place the card upside down, and then you flip it over and place it proper way with the outer sleeve. And I got to thinking, I'm like, your drink is going to be probably sitting not behind the cards. It's going to be probably like off to your left or right, sideways. Sideways? No, diagonally from your cards. Like you would as you're eating food, your cup is always kind of on the corner, whether it's right or left. I was like, well, what if you do the opposite? I'm not sure how that I would feel about that, because I guess the nice part was that when you're drawing a card, if this is the bottom of the card, it feels much more better because there's no opening. So when you actually flip the card, it feels good. But if you had it the other way, and it doesn't feel as good. But if you're like worried about protection, I would imagine if you flip the card around with the sleeve, with the top of the outer sleeve on the bottom of the card, anything that's going to happen to that card, as far as liquids is concerned, it's most likely you're never going to have to worry about it, especially if you have the inner sleeve. So I'd be kind of curious about that. Now, the only thing you do have to worry about is if you're eating something greasy, like chips or whatever, while you're playing the game. There might be a chance that you might get grease in between the card, the sleeve. But if you have an inner sleeve, that shouldn't matter too much. Granted, you would have to then, get the grease out of the card. So maybe I guess you got to pick your battles. Maybe that's the issue. Or, just don't be eating chips or anything like that during a game of Magic. Now, I kind of wanted to go over, and I'm sure I'm going to be the wrong one to say this because I'm very new, but I'm going to recommend people, if they want to get into Magic, how might they do it the best way. From buying a lot of cards already, too many that I actually should admit to, and I won't admit to it. But basically, I was like, I'm just going to casually get into this, and then it already spiraled fairly quickly. I'm done buying them for a while, but in the end, yeah, you probably shouldn't do what I did. But here's what I recommend. A, go to your local comic book shop. The person didn't. I was told that there's basically decks that they can give you. Basically, Wizards actually, comic book shops can order these decks that you can give away for free for new budding players. But my comic book shop did not have any. But he did say, "Hold on, let me just wait a second." And apparently, one of the people that actually played plays Magic on Friday night, left a deck of, granted it was 59 cards, and it's supposed to be a 60 card, a pre-made deck. It was the Tezzeret. He is it's an artifact. It's a blue-black. Is it blue-black? Yeah, I think it's blue-black artifact deck. And these are basically what you can do. You can actually go to your local store or your gaming store, or you can go to Target or Walmart or whatever. And basically, these are the ones that, in fact, I would recommend getting one of these. Is it comes with a special full card right on the front, and it actually shows you what it is. And it's going to be a Planeswalker. Now, Planeswalkers are so rare, like they're all considered mythic. So basically, the best way to get one right away, because they're so powerful, and it would be highly advisable to have one in your deck, is get one of these pre-made decks. So this is the one he gave me. I eventually got the 60th card, because I looked it up online. I'm like, what card am I missing? I hope it's a land. It wasn't a land. So then I eventually got the 60th card, and he actually gave it to me for free. But naturally, I felt bad, so I bought some more stuff from him. But let's see, where's the other one? Where is the other one? Here it is. It's empty because I actually have that one in a different box. But these are the two ones currently, right now, for the new Dominaria expansion. One's called I'm sure I'm going to get this wrong, Teferi. He is a white-blue deck. And then we got Chandra, and she is a Pyromancer, and she's a red green deck. And to be honest with you, if you're like wanting to get into it also for the collecting and money value of it, Chandra is the one to get, because not only does she have her Planeswalker in here, which these Planeswalkers are worth $6 right out of the box. It also has a Gilded Lotus, which Gilded Lotus is like a $5 card. So it's got two cards that are actually worth... I actually haven't gone over Teferi's very carefully to see if there's any valuable cards in this one. But also, from what I've gathered online, Chandra's deck is also much better when compared to the Teferi deck. But no matter what, get the one that actually works for you. Because actually what I found out is I actually went for the Teferi one because I like white and blue. I tend to always gravitate to those colors just because I like blue in general as a color itself. And then I like white as far as the mana color in Magic because it's got knights and shit in it. So I like that. But then I found out that this one, the Chandra one, is a much better deck overall compared to the other one. So I went out and got that one. So, but anyway, you get one of these decks. They're pre-made. They come with a Planeswalker. And it comes with an actual box to put your cards in. And the box holds the cards loosely. And also there's a little bit of room in the actual box when you get it. And the reason why is it allows you to sleeve the cards. So these boxes are sleeve compatible. Now what they are not is double sleeve compatible. When you double sleeve it, it makes the deck a little bit more thicker. So you just got to watch out for that. If you're going to double sleeve it, you'll basically use the box that the sleeves come in, because I have a full 60 card deck in here in the Dragon Shield box, which is double sleeved. And actually it still has a little bit of room left. So if you double sleeve them, you'll just use the box that comes in with your actual deck stuff, your card sleeves. So I would recommend buying one of the pre-made decks. And here's also oh yeah, that's right, I forgot. When you buy one of the pre-made decks, the nice thing is, because back in the day, I think a deck was like $10. I want to say it was only $10. Now they're $15. But the benefit is, it does come with a box, which the original ones did too, from back in 96, 95. But the nice thing is these new pre-made decks, they come with 2 boosters. So now what they do is they recommend playing the deck as is a couple times until you get comfortable with the deck and Magic in general. And then they're like, then open up the booster packs and see what you got, and maybe you can expand on this deck. And that is definitely a good option, but most likely people are just going to be like me. I went and automatically opened up my cards, and then I looked at the little kind of like advertisement / instructions, and they're like, before you play, and it basically told me what I just told you. Don't open up the boosters yet. And I'm like, okay, I get that. But I did it anyway. But I still have this, my red and green Chandra deck. She's still standard. I haven't done anything with her. I also haven't done anything with the Teferi, because I've been basically focusing on the free deck that I was given. Because it was given to me, and I would have felt horrible if I came with another deck to the comic shop that I played at. Okay, the other thing I would recommend once you do get that, and again, this is my recommendation. I don't know if it is a good recommendation, but I thought it was actually a really great value. Now, online, these people are saying it's $40 for this pack. Maybe at your local game stores, maybe that's how much it costs, but if you go to Target or Walmart, I'm looking at $45 for it. Now, I know that it seems like a lot, but hear me out. I don't think you'll be able to price match anywhere, because when I looked up online on Amazon, it was shipped by Amazon, but it was not sold by Amazon. So, luckily, what I did have a friend who I constantly go to Target on my break at work, and just basically always get my lunch there. So we've kind of built up a repertoire, and I can always, go to her, and she's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" And when I went and did my price match, I'm like, "This isn't going to work." But then I saw her, and I'm like, "Well, it might work." And she didn't really look at it closely, and I guess she just figured I was going to be honest about it. And I did get my price match for the Amazon, even though she shouldn't have given me the price match, because it was not sold by Amazon either. Usually with price matching, especially when it comes to Amazon and like Walmart and stuff, it has to be sold by the actual company, not by a third party. Either way, you go on Amazon, and if you have Amazon Prime, then you get it for free shipping with 2 days. They have this pack for $33 instead of not $40, not $45, $33. At $33, it's a steal, if you ask me. But it's called a fat pack. Now, what does the fat pack give you? At $40, it's a great deal, because you're basically getting 10 boosters. And if you do the calculation, 10 times 4, which is $4 is the price of a booster, that's $40. So it makes sense. At $45, you're bordering on the no, I can't pay that. But at $33, complete steal. But what you're going to get is you're going to get 10 boosters. You're going to get let me grab it here in a second, because I did not open it. I didn't open it yet, or I never will. It comes with a bulk thing of land. So basically, that allows you to take your 10 boosters and make a deck out of it. So that's another way to make another deck. But that's not why you buy this what they call the fat pack. You buy it for the boosters. So what that will allow you to do is, well, granted, if you only got your pre-made deck, this allows you to make other decks as well. So I guess you can use it. But for me, that's not why I bought this. I bought it for the 10 boosters. But also the benefit is, especially when just starting out, you get this lovely thing, which it's a nice box that holds the cards. And this is my whole Dominaria collection already, so I've technically filled it up. Filled this thing up. It's also got another inner box. So essentially what I do is I have, if you're watching the stream, or you're watching it on YouTube, but basically I have all the stuff that's sleeved. Those are my uncommon, rares, and mythics from Dominaria that I have in the little tiny separator. I'm not going to get it out, but it's a nice way to keep your cards separated, so it does that. But it is a nice, it's a pretty thick box. The only downside, and again, I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to, is it has this little inner thing, which basically helps when it closes, it allows it to sit on top. Otherwise, here, it's got this little lip thing here. If you took that cardboard thing out, it would actually go beyond that. So I just need to glue it. Oh yeah, here's the top of it. It's got the little Magic the Gathering sign. So very pretty box, and it comes with that. So again, at $40, you're essentially getting that for free. You get a countdown die, so basically it allows you to do your life or your or any sort of thing that you want to actually worry about tokens and stuff. But usually it's going to be for a 20-sided die, countdown die. It's going to be for your life, because that's how Magic starts. Magic starts at 20 life, and then you slowly die. And here's also the other thing that why I also recommend it for beginners. Comes with this little book. It's got little punch holes if you want to, if you're into the 3-ring binder, putting your cards in a 3-ring binder. I recommend don't do that. If you care about your cards, get a proper binder that's meant for trading card games. They're more expensive. You can't expand them with more sheets, but they won't ruin your cards like 3-ring binders can. But it basically kind of has like a little intro of like what's new to the card game. It tells you about sagas. Again, sagas are awesome. The artwork is awesome. The way the cards are laid out are awesome. It gives you a little history on what's going on in nice artwork. Tells you about the past and what's currently going on. It's really great for if you're like just trying to get into it, like what's going on, why am I fighting, why am I battling. It just kind of goes over all that. But here's the important thing. It has a top 10 coolest cards in Dominaria. So basically it shows you what they think is the coolest cards in the expansion. But not only that, is it comes with the most important thing, I feel. You can get this online, but there's something about having the physical thing. But it's got an entire card listing, a visual card listing. So then you can actually start checking off the cards that you do have and don't have. Or you can actually look at these cards in a physical visual representation and kind of, get an idea of the cards that you might want for your future deck, or find out what cards might work with other ones. So again, I think it's definitely worth your time to buy at least one fat pack. Again, it's pricey, but if you're going to get into the game, you just buy it and be done with it. Now, I'm still under the kind of the assumption, I don't know how I want to go about doing the whole Magic the Gathering thing. It's like, do I want to buy booster boxes? I've literally watched people, and this is due to my a lack of intelligence. But back in the day, I thought you bought a booster box, you're going to get every card. You're going to get every card. You bought a whole booster box. I don't know if that was true back then, but it's definitely not true nowadays. I always thought, it's like, boy, if you bought a box of Alpha, you're going to get a Black Lotus. And it's like, if you just held on to that box or opened that box back in the day, it's like, wow. I don't think that's true. It's definitely not true nowadays. But I've watched online people open up like 3 boxes of booster boxes, which contain 36 packs of cards. I have only seen one Karn, which Karn is the most expensive card in this. It's, I think, the non-foiled version, I think, is like $50 or something like that, and of course the foiled version is like $100 currently at the time of this recording. But it's like, you're never going to get, you'll get super lucky if you get one of the really expensive ones. Again, I'll say it right now. The Fat Pack's 10. When I bought the first booster, I bought 2 packs, and the pre-made deck came with 2, so that's 4 packs. I bought like 2 packs at 3 packs at the comic book shop, and I bought 2 packs with my other pre-made deck. So I don't know how much that is already, but I bought enough that I'm like, I've bought a half a box roughly worth of cards, and I have two mythics that I pulled. And of course, with the pre-made decks, you get a automatic mythic with the Planeswalker automatically, which, yes, they're mythic, but they're not really rare because you just go to the store and buy one. But I will say, which that's another thing I need to point out, if you're in it for the collecting also, the pre-made decks have cards that it's only a couple, and they show you, again, this is why it's kind of cool about the Fat Pack. At the very back of the book, it tells you what cards that are only available in these pre-made decks. It's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for each one, but there's 5 cards that you can't get anywhere in the expansion unless you buy those pre-made decks. So again, another reason why to buy the pre-made decks if you want to get into Magic. But anyway, enough of that. Again, I do feel like, get a pre-made deck and a Fat Pack, and I think you're like on the road to, you can make probably a pretty decent deck with that stuff. I talked about the Magic stats, and of course, when I went to the Friday Night Magic, I went with the stuff that I had, and I'm like, I'm going to carry all this stuff, so I decided I had a tarot box, and it actually did fit my deck, and it also fit enough to put some dice and some countdown spin dice onto the side, because tarot decks are a little bit larger than a normal deck. So I was able to do that, but naturally, once I went to the Magic shop, or the comic book shop, and saw some of the deck boxes some of these people had, I felt like I had to get one. So it's going to be coming tomorrow, but I got a Ultimate Guard, what's it called? Flippin' Tray, and I got it in a Petro color, which is like this green, sea green blue type look. I fell in love with the color immediately. But this thing's freaking awesome. The magnets are so well put on it, and they hold so well that you can actually, shake the thing and it won't come open. But I liked it. The inside has got actually microfiber, and it's got 2 pull-out drawers. One, it says it holds 100 double-sleeved cards. I was told it's more along the lines of 80 from the reviews, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm not doing a 100 card deck, and I'm not doing an 80 card deck. I'm doing a 60 card deck, and then I need to figure out this sideboard thing. I'm still new to it, and I'm like, I don't even know what should be in my main deck, let alone its sideboard. So I'm just focused on 60 cards. So this thing will completely do me fine. And then on top, it's got room. It's got a second tray that allows you to put your dice and whatever else that you might have in there. Maybe like the little glass glass beads that is what we used back in the day for life, but people still sometimes use them, but everybody's using the spin down dies for life now. And the cool thing is you can open up the deck area individually from the dice tray, or you can just get out the dice and not have to open up the whole thing for the deck tray. So it's kind of like a fridge, like a freezer and fridge thing. And of course, it's solid. It'll take some tossing around, but I fell in love as soon as I seen it. But anyway, I've been going on too long about Magic, but I'm actually really excited about it, and I don't even mind losing. I'm just like I've been rejuvenated, essentially. But let's get on to some news. Okay, Steam. Steam's the ultimate, I should say computer, but mainly it's because of Steam. There's no excuse now, because I have a friend that's like, I'm not playing with the computer. He doesn't want to have to worry about requirements and stuff, and he doesn't, he lives back when it was the early to mid 90s, even late 90s, where computers were kind of like, oh, a new thing came out, or a new game came out, so you probably have to upgrade your computer, because upgrades were basically being in such small increments that basically when something new happened, it's almost like you had to upgrade. And I agree, back in the day, it was kind of rough. Sorry. But nowadays, you buy a computer and you buy a modern graphics card. I have computers and I make them run until they're basically dead. And my last computer, and it can still run, it can still play somewhat modern games, and it can definitely play any indie game that comes out, and it's 9 years old. It would still go strong. Now I did have to upgrade the graphics card, but again, it's still a 9-year computer running Witcher 3. But somebody gave me this computer, so I'm very happy, and it works lovely. But anyway, let's get back on track. Steam, let's see what controllers they support. They support the Steam controller, which I like. They support Xbox controllers, naturally, because even Windows supports that right out of the gate. It supports PlayStation 4 controllers. And now they even have put it in their system to support Nintendo Switch controllers. Not the Joy-Cons, but at least not that I know of the Joy-Cons. That'd be kind of cool. It would kind of go with the VR system, maybe. But they have allowed now for people to use the Nintendo Switch Pro controller. So now, again, there's no excuse. If you have a computer and you got a console, you got a controller for the computer. No ifs, ands, or buts. In fact, for my fighting stick, granted, it is computer compatible. It's got X input drivers, but I can actually use my PS4 fight stick if I wanted to for in PS4 mode on Steam. So that's pretty dang cool. Continuing on with Switch news. it apparently appears that they are not bringing the Virtual Console to the Switch. So you will not be getting your precious, as the picture has, links, Link to the Past in a Virtual Console version. Now, here's the wording. They say that the Virtual Console is not coming to Switch. Like someone pointed out in one of the comments, is I don't necessarily think that they're not going to have some type of version of a Virtual Console. I think they're trying to get away from anything that has to do with the Wii U and Wii brand. So I think they're most likely going to have some sort of Virtual Console system, but they're not going to be calling it the Virtual Console. They're going to be calling it something else. At least that's my, and I'm assuming other people's hopes. So that is hopefully something to possibly look out for. And here we go again, talking about friggin' YouTube. YouTube. There's an article coming out that basically said with their YouTube Summit thing in New York, they basically are kind of pointing out that they're going to turn it into the MTV of YouTube. Or basically, they're trying to turn YouTube into the new MTV, where you can actually find the music videos. I think everybody in the world has assumed that YouTube is the new MTV, because you can actually watch music videos on YouTube. You can't on friggin' MTV, which is sad. And they got a whole bunch of shows that I don't think anybody watches anymore, as far as MTV is concerned. So, which again kind of makes sense. They did the whole Karate Kid thing, which you can watch the first 2 episodes of that thing. I'm not sure if it's going to be completely free. I think they're maybe just trying to get people to buy YouTube Red, or at least subscribe to YouTube Red for like the free trial or whatever. I'm thinking that's probably what they're trying to do. Either way, they're allowing you to watch at least 2 free episodes. Hopefully it's more. I haven't watched them yet, though. But that's the general consensus from most people. I watched a video that Boogie released today, and he kind of thinks it's like the other way around. He thinks that, yes, they're trying to bring in more professional stuff. Like he pointed out, they're trying to bring Will Smith and somebody else, because they know advertisers will advertise because they know the name of Will Smith. They don't know the name of, say, Boogie. But Boogie points out that it's only going to be good, or at least hopefully, for the other streamers, because it's like, again, here the problem right now is with the whole racial issues and all the I guess the big thing was all the white supremacist videos, and then like Ford having videos on white supremacist videos and whatnot. They were like, oh, we didn't know we were advertising on white supremacy videos, and everybody just started backing out after a while. Well, you start getting some mainstream stuff in there that what people know about, and the advertisers start coming back, and maybe with Boogie pointed out, like, eventually they'll actually essentially be advertising on my channel too, and all that stuff. And I'm like, I don't see how that's possible when they're going to be like, well, we want to advertise for Will Smith and Will Smith only, or The Rock. I think he has a channel, and everybody likes The Rock apparently. So they would actually do it on their channels. I don't see the advertisers saying, oh, and you can go to these tier streamers too. But I could be wrong. I don't make any money off of YouTube, so Boogie would know more than me if money would come to people that actually get money from YouTube. Maybe eventually I will. That'd be nice. But as far as I'm concerned, I feel like YouTube is dead or dying when it comes to making money off of it. In fact, all my favorite people now, for the most part, don't make videos or they upload videos, but that isn't their main thing. They're mainly focused on streaming on Twitch, which again makes sense because it's so far the viable option, where not so much for Facebook, or not Facebook, YouTube. Uh, like Dodger, for example, is one of the people I follow and watch on Twitch, as well as I used to watch her videos on YouTube, but she hasn't put anything out since like Christmas, and apparently she was basically doing a yearly thing. Now, with her having a baby, that's a little bit more difficult, but I was amazed yesterday when I saw her streaming. So I thought that was pretty cool, that even with having a baby, she still has a little bit of time to do the streaming and whatnot. But she's definitely, even before the Christmas thing, she, I guess, did that as like this is something that she always did, but before that, she was barely putting out anything anyway. I think she'd already kind of abandoned the YouTube thing a little while ago, and now she's focusing on Twitch while now having a baby and her coffee company that she's working on with. I mean, to me, it's not. She's working with a company, so it's kind of hard to say. Is it technically a coffee company, or is she working with a third party that's making the coffee for her and slapping her brand on it? And then that's fine. And I try to support that whenever I can, because especially now with having a kid, she won't be able to do as much streaming. Her husband, he won't be able to do as much streaming as well. And when that is how you make your money, besides I guess a coffee company, they're probably going to need as much support as they possibly can. And I figured, if I like her, I like Sam, so I try to support what I can. I guess YouTube's dead, basically. I guess on to the next one, which I thought was kind of hilarious, which, to me, the kid answered the question by doing what he did. All right, let's bring up the actual thing. Man, but the picture shows a boy stabs friend for saying PUBG is better than Fortnite. Well, doesn't that answer the question already? If you have to resort to stabbing somebody, maybe PUBG is better than Fortnite. But all jokes aside, it's like, come on, man. These people have no. I don't know what's going on with like younger kids. Granted, there was school shootings before Columbine, but when I was in high school, that's when Columbine happened, and it's. I feel like it's ramped up, but then some people said, well, it hasn't really ramped up. It's just basically social media has made it easier to get that information out there. And there's always been like school shootings. It's just now with the internet, it's become easier to spread the information a lot quicker. So it feels like there is more school shootings, but it's almost like modern younger kids don't have a value for life. And I guess it kind of makes sense to a certain degree. It's like I didn't grow up with the internet. It wasn't until 97 before I got the internet, and I had that was born in 83, so I was a little long in age. I was maybe like 15 or whatever by the time we got the internet. And I guess it's to me it's weird, but I guess for kids it's, yes, you go to school and yes, you deal with people, but once you're out of school, and you might have your friends, but it seems like since the majority of the kids, all they do is, and grown-ups, everybody does now, they focus a whole lot of time to being online. You start to get desensitized, especially with the way people treat you. And I know this is only one aspect, one very tiny aspect of the problem with what we have now today. Uh, because overall violence has gone down. It's just, it seems like with seeing stuff like this, it's like, come on. But I realized type of stupid stuff happens all the time. Whether it's today or 100 years ago or 1,000 years ago, somebody does something stupid because that was the tipping point, and they decided I wasn't going to take it. Oh crap! He is a man. Well, I say man, I say jokingly man, but apparently they were 19 and 20, and the guy stabbed him over saying PUBG's better than Fortnite. Come on. So again, it's pathetic, but people are going to do stupid stuff all the time. But to me, that was a definitive PUBG, I guess, is better than Fortnite, because if you have to resort to stabbing to prove your point, I think you've lost the argument. Or you could just be like me and just realize it's like, they all have their ups and downs. Fortnite's cool. PUBG's cool in its own way. Just play whatever makes you happy. But anyway, I think that's going to be the podcast for now, because I talked way too long about Magic the Gathering. But I am excited to get back into it. So I need to change my streaming schedule to have Friday nights off so I can do Friday Night Magic. So I have to figure out if I just want to remove that and not replace it with a day, or possibly replace that day. Problem is, I don't know what day, because usually on the weekends I'm over at friend's house doing board games and stuff like that. So we'll see. Anyway, I will see you later, everyone, and hope you have a good time. Good night, good day, good week. I don't know. Anyway, goodbye.